today we're going to talk about design thinking. The agenda is basically twofold, two parts. The first one is really the theory. What is design thinking? I will give you what I consider being my, at least for me, the best definition. Why is it needed and when to apply it? And then I will share with you two cases. One of them I will probably go further in details for confidential reasons. The second one I will somehow really give you an overview of the whole project. So what is design thinking here? I mean, basically what I wanted to share with this video is that we are here talking about empathy. Empathy is the skill that is required to properly adopt design thinking as a mindset. So what does it stand for? I mean, design thinking, I have seen many definitions, and really that one is for me, the one that captures exactly in the best way, that summarizes exactly what it is about. And I have to explain you a bit about this definition. You just have to cut it in three parts. It's a dynamic approach. That means it's not a methodology. It's not a process, a rigorous process. It's an approach. And some call it a mindset. Okay. So this dynamic approach is to find the problem and then to solve it. And the ultimate goal is then to create new perspective to value creation. What does it mean here is that once you apply this dynamic approach, the first thing that you have to do is to really understand, find the problem, the real problem to solve. And then you can solve it because you have found the real problem to solve. And then with knowing that you have done that properly, you can then start creating solutions that are going to create value. For me, this is one of the best definitions shared by Bill Burnett at D-School, and I recommend to stick to that because this is an important one. Then what you can say about design. Design is the perfect combination, mixing these three aspects, okay? The viability of the product, and who is making the product viable? It's all the business aspect of the product. And when I say product, it's the service, the experience, whatever you create, whatever the value proposition is. The second aspect is really the feasibility. And the feasibility is, you can imagine, this is basically all the technology you're going to put inside, all whatever the R&D is going to bring to the product in order to make it work, okay? And you've got the design part of it, which is bringing the desirability of the product, making it sexy, stylish. But you have a real design intervention if you integrate these three factors: the desirability of the product. And by the way, the desirability is probably what the people think design does in a product. But in fact, design does these three things together. It enables the viability, and it is made possible with the feasibility aspect of the product. If you've got these three components, then you've got the perfect combination for a successful product. Here, I like to share this, but I want to go very fast on this. Basically, what these slides shares is the fact that it has been demonstrated that companies that have placed and used and leveraged design at the highest level possible in the company have gained greater value. And here you can even see the figure that it's 228% greater value with the help of design. But it all depends where you position design. And here, if you place and you have design, and design in this true meaning, what I was saying, the combination of viability, feasibility, and desirability. If you have that at the highest level of the company, that is part of all the decision of the organization, then you have these type of results. And this is not me saying that. This is a source from the DMI Design Index and the UK Design Council that demonstrated this. So basically, the number one reason for companies to fail is because they are building something that nobody wants. Why do we need design thinking? In fact, because we need to create meaningful and sustainable experience or product or service. And in order to do that, you need to engage the heart and not just the mind, just not necessarily the rational behind it, but more all the emotions, feelings. And in order to be able to do that, you need to understand what are these feelings. And the video that I was sharing at the beginning, and everyone has his own story. Everyone has his own feeling, his own motivations. And that's what design thinking helps doing. It really goes deep inside people to really understand what they need, or what are their deep motivations, what are their frustrations. The second thing, why do we need design thinking, is we cannot work anymore the way we used to work, in silos. And I'm sure that for those working with large corporations, this is a model that you see all the time. People are working in silos. They are not working in a collaborative way, leveraging collective intelligence. No, they prefer to stay within their own area of expertise, which is a big shame. And we cannot solve the problem of tomorrow with adopting this same type of organization. And I think this is something that is changing, because we talk more and more about transformation. It's not only about digital transformation. It's very often it starts with the organization itself. Then I think that another reason why we need to use design thinking is we live in a world which is more and more complex, and therefore it is harder to define what is the real cause of the problem. And in order to do that, we need to use soft skills type of tools. And that's what design does better than any other. We're not into spreadsheets with tons of figures and a percentage of a population, and we're not like marketing talking about market. We're talking about users, about individuals. What do they feel? What do they like? What do they want? What are their aspirations? And that's the beauty of design thinking. And remember what I was here in this chart at the bottom. You see, understand the problem and then understand the solution. As I was saying in the definition earlier, this is really twofold. You need to properly understand the problem to solve. And you will see in the cases that I'm going to share how, in fact, the problem that these companies express was not necessarily the problem that we had to solve. So here I'm just sharing this kind of diagram where I'm showing a lot of tools that we use during the design thinking journey. This is not exhaustive. We have many more, and at the same time, we are not necessarily using all of them. Let's talk about when do you apply design thinking. Again, a bit of theory. I was explaining earlier that we are living in a complex world. I don't know how many of you have heard about VUCA. VUCA means volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. That's the world we are living into. Well, you see with the virus how everything has become so complex. I mean, the world is completely in a turmoil. Basically, is completely stopped just because of the little teeny things that we just cannot even see. So the enemy exists, but we have a name on it, but we just cannot see it almost. So it makes everything complex. Is the world we are living into because of all these technology, the globalization, all these things. I mean, accumulated, it makes the world we are living quite tough. I'm sharing 4 conditions in which I think design thinking can help. First, we need to shift mindset. We need to move from making people want things to making things people want. And this is really important here to shift the way that we look at product creation. Design thinking can help to create opportunities with a human-centric approach For instance, you can create a journey or an experience, a customer experience, with this specific angle at understanding what are the frustration that these people will have to overcome across the standard journey. And that gives a completely radical, different type of outcome. Then the third case is to accelerate innovation and lower risk. Every companies, every corporations are talking about innovation nowadays. What is interesting, why design thinking can really play a role, is that with rapid prototyping and user feedback, it just helps to go faster in the innovation process. And who says that it goes faster? That means that you can lower risk. The last thing is, as I was saying, we need to transform businesses because we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. It's not me who said that, it's Albert Einstein. And I think it's extremely relevant nowadays. We cannot live in the same world that we are living into. We need to transform it, and we need to transform the businesses that created these problems. So as you can see from these four conditions, they are all around users. It's really a human-centric approach, and it starts with understanding human behaviors and interactions. And just to correlate that to what we are living nowadays, I think one of the outcomes of this crisis is definitely that companies, businesses will have, I'm not saying that they will all, but they will have to shift the way that they were doing business versus before.